Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the April Board of Directors meeting. We'll go ahead and get started as we do have a quorum. First item will be a staff presentation by Sara McNeil. Sara, are you with us?
I am. Hello.
Hi, Sara. Welcome, and floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Bear with me just a moment while I share my screen and pull up my slideshow.
Very good.
Thank you for your patience. Sorry, it's just giving me a moment.
No problem at all. Go right ahead.
Well, evidently my Macintosh does not want to share my slideshow that I presented. What I'll go ahead and do, I know that Greg has this prepared to input into the video. So I'm just going to briefly touch on Read, Return, Repeat, which is a ReadICT podcast that we've launched. I do apologize for the technical difficulties, but I guess I don't want to take up any more of anyone's time. So I'm just going to go ahead and talk to you briefly about what it is that we're launching and the importance of it right now. So we've created this podcast. It's called Read, Return, Repeat. And this podcast is taken to mirror the ReadICT reading challenge that we encourage our adults to participate in. It's a year-long reading challenge. It was created in 2017 by Suzanne Perez. She was a staff editor at the Wichita Eagle. She's now taken a new position at KMUW. And it was basically just to get folks out reading different books, different categories. It's grown exponentially. And every year we kind of try and reinvent ourselves or offer new engagement opportunities for our customers. And so with this year being the way that it is, we had to really think outside of the box. What I want to express to you all is that there's nothing new about podcasts, but for those of you that aren't aware of what a podcast is, it's essentially a collection of digital files, and those are hosted on a platform where our customers can access. They have the ability to subscribe to those episodes, or they can just access them individually. And really, I was feeling the necessity to create something different. Wichita has a really strong community of readers, but again, being in this last year and not being able to connect with our customers, we had to think outside of the box. And so offering a podcast gives our users and our readers a different way to engage with the reading challenge. It's also really important that we expand our virtual programming outside of just lectures, and that there's nothing wrong with lectures. We definitely have demographics that love the lecture format, but we had to kind of think creatively about engaging with our customers outside of just a lecture setting. And so this podcast was a nice way to offer a passive program for our customers who are on the go, or maybe don't have the time to just sit down and attend our traditional virtual programs. And so we created this podcast. It is definitely a collaboration amongst departments. And by doing that, we have been able to reinvigor an aspect of our virtual programming that was kind of waning in the last year. Program attendance has definitely taken a drop considerably, and this was a way to offer something to folks that might be experiencing screen fatigue, or they might just not want to sit in a formal virtual setting. And so this was a nice way to connect with our customers and give them that opportunity. In our first episode, I interview Suzanne, and we kind of talk about the discussion of what it is to be involved in ReadICT, where's the evolution taken it, and our listeners are able to actually glean more insight on who Suzanne is as a person. So we spend a great majority of the episode talking about who she is, where her journeys come from, and how we can inspire people reading and push the boundaries on what they are reading. At the end of the episode, we introduce a thought experiment, which is really fun because, as I said, each episode it mirrors a category for ReadICT. So for the first one word title is the first category, we had a thought experiment where I asked her, are you familiar with these titles? I'm going to give you the names of the titles as the author wanted them, and then see if you can guess what they became. And so it's kind of a fun play on play. There's so much personality that goes on between Suzanne and myself and talking that we've gotten a lot of really positive response, not only from staff members, but from customers who've streamed the episode or watched it on YouTube. And so each category follows that same format where we have a guest speaker on, and the assumption is that they're a subject specialist. Now, again, Suzanne was the creator, so she, in her own right, is a subject specialist on ReadICT. But moving forward, each episode that we produce will have someone specifically related to the category and offering a thoughtful discussion. Because that was one thing that we found this year, was some of the categories weren't as intuitive as one might expect. Like there's an own voices category.
Is now exiting.
There's an own voices category where if you aren't familiar with the genre own voices, it's something new that came up in the last 5 years. This gives us an opportunity to discuss what that is and the importance of that. And then each episode ends with book recommendations from the library staff. And so they take the time to read a book and review it and then share that at the end of the episode, which is very nice because we have such a wide scope of different folks that work for the library. It's nice to bring in what they're passionate about. Producing the podcast, it takes place in the AVU studio, and in the first episode, you can see, I don't have the green screen on, so you can actually see where the studio is and the different components of that. And the video call is a Zoom call it's a recording that we take, the audio files and the video files from that, and produce an episode. Again, the staff recommend books at the end. We found that 3 works really well. If we can showcase a YA or a children's book, a nonfiction adult book, and a fiction adult book that offers a wide breadth of alternatives for our listeners, so that way they can, if there's something that they're passionate about, they can check out those books. And then, as I mentioned, the production is a collaboration of the digital services staff, so they're the ones that are producing the episode. The marketing, Sean, he's out there promoting it on social media. And then the education and engagement staff at the All, we're the ones that are creating the content. So this is an opportunity for the library to create original content and then produce it and disseminate it to our audience. Lastly, but not leastly, when and where is the podcast produced? It's released on a mostly monthly episode. We found that it takes about a month to curate all that information and then create a product with it. And then listeners can stream episodes wherever they get their podcasts. There are 9 that Anchor distributes to. Anchor is the platform that we actually create the podcast in. But it disseminates to 9 different platforms: Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Castbox, and Overcast. I know that was a lot of casts, but there are a lot of different platforms that people find their podcasts on. And one of the beautiful things about Anchor is that Spotify is its parent company. So anything that we put on Anchor goes directly to Spotify. So we're able to capture a lot of information, statistics about who's using the podcast and how frequently. And just briefly to touch on that, we, in the last month and a half, since we've launched our first 2 episodes, we've had 75 plays, the first episode, and 32 of the second episode. Overwhelmingly, it is males that are listening to the podcast from Spotify, and this information is directly from Spotify, and that the largest age group is 35 to 44-year-olds. So that's about 70% of the people that are streaming. So it's a nice way to hit that target, because sometimes in library programming, we hit the youngers or the older folks, and the people in the middle get lost. So the podcast is actually reaching that audience, and people are subscribing and listening to it. We just finished production of the 3rd podcast, which will be released on the first Friday of May. And we are going to be talking with Todd Volkman from the Kansas Wildlife Exhibit, because that mirrors our Category 3 animals and pets. And he gives a wonderful discussion on the importance of caring for animals and pets, and then also cross-promoting services that KEW offers to the community. And that's kind of what my goal was in the beginning, was interviewing local people at best and promoting their services, promoting our services, and connecting those, drawing those connections for our customers. Thank you.
Very good. That's a lot of information. And quite a fascinating idea for citizen engagement for the advanced learning library and reading across the spectrum. Does any board member have any questions for Sara? Seeing none. Sara, thank you so much. That was fascinating information. We'll be interested in seeing how this is going to progress going forward.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, board members, at this time, our first order of business will be to approve the agenda that was provided in the packet that you received. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I so move.
We have a motion by Jonathan. Is there a second?
This is Shannon. I'll second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. First item next would be public comment. Is there anybody from the public to comment to us today? Seeing and hearing none, we'll go on. The next item would be the approval of the minutes of the March 16th Advanced Learning Library Board of Directors meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve.
Who's that?
Who is that?
Tonight.
Madonna? Okay.
Have a motion by Tadana. Is there a second? Second by Jonathan. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next agenda item would be our unfinished business, the Evergreen Center naming process. Jonathan?
I'll be brief. We have now solidified a plan for gathering possible names for Evergreen. It will launch on May 3rd. I'm sorry. It will launch on May 3rd with a social media blitz. 11 posters, email, an email to anchors, postcards, and a presentation at the District 6 board meeting the next day. We are currently planning to gather names, possibilities through June 30th using a web form that's available in both English and Spanish. In general, we are aiming for general materials to be bilingual. We've also identified people in the community who think will be able to be very helpful in gathering and getting the word out. We're still working on media engagements.
4.72. Is there a second to approve?
I will second.
Jonathan will second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item would be 6B. That's the 2021 state aid budget. Christy, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. So each year we bring this to the library board for approval. We have received the 2021 grant award in the amount of $110,841.85, which is a decrease of about $1,156.35 from the previous year. Each year you approve a proposed budget for the state grants and aid, and the grant needs to be expended within the current year. And so then that's what we've brought forward in your packet. You see a proposed budget for the expenditure of the state grants and aid payment. And then we recommend that you approve that for this year.
Very good. Does any board member have any questions or comments for Christy? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the proposed state aid budget for 2021? I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
This is Shannon. I'll second.
Hi, Shannon. Thank you. We have a second by Shannon. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item would be the 2021 sickles budget. Christy?
And so again, this we bring each year, generally in April. The South Central Kansas Library System is the regional system that we belong to, which is one of 7. They provide many different services to us. We receive competitive grants and continuing education reimbursement from them for staff training, among other things. And we have included in your packet the proposed budget for this award as well, which will be in the amount of $238,472. And we receive a first payment once we submit the signed contract, and then a second payment will be provided prior to September 30th. And these funds have to be encumbered or transferred by the end of next year, December 31st of 22, and must be used for library purposes only. No administrative fees are allowed to come out of that. Because the library board cannot enter into a contract, the contract has been reviewed as to form by the city's law department. And then we need to take this contract to city council on the consent agenda, which we're planning to do for the May 4th, I believe it is, city council meeting on the consent agenda. So we're recommending that the library board approve the proposed budget that you see in your packet and authorize us to submit that contract to city council for review and approval.
Very good. Does any board member have any questions regarding this item for Christy? Concerns or comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the proposed budget and authorize staff to submit the contract to the city council
so
for review. We have a motion by Jonathan. Is there a second?
This is
Lauren will
Donna.
second.
Thank you, Lauren. We have a second by Lauren. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda will be 6D. This is a customer letter to the library board from a citizen. It has been shown in your packet. And I had offered to write a reply on behalf of the board of directors, and I have not done that yet, as I wanted to have a discussion with the board to see if there were any items or concerns or comments that the board might have that I might incorporate into the letter of reply. So that being said, I'll turn it over to Christy, and you can kind of let us know what this is all about.
Yes, so we received that, or you all received that letter, which I forwarded to you, and so I believe you've all had a chance to see that, and also in the packet. The customer, in brief, is suggesting that the Walters Branch Library is not as attractive on the outside of it as our other branches, and they included some photos of our other branches. And then they went on to give some suggestions of what they viewed as things we might do to add a more pleasing building and a better legacy for the Dr. Walters Branch Library. They recommended adding large flower pots around the building, a mural on the east wall, change the color rather than having it be gray so that it matches more the rest of the buildings in that mall, that strip of spaces there. Take out some of the concrete parking lot that is immediately around the building and adding something different. And so they probably don't realize that this is a leased facility. This is not it's not a city-owned building. And so the color choice, the cement, those kinds of things we can't change. This is what our, the owners of the building painted the branch. And I don't know, we might be able to put some flower pots, but I don't know that there's any water, a water spigot that would be handy. We don't have, our Parks and Rec staff wouldn't be maintaining any kind of landscaping or that kind of thing. It would be left to staff to do. And so there might be some opportunity to do something on the interior as far as adding additional art pieces that might hang. But again, if anything were permanently on the walls, we would need to consult the owners of the facility if we were recommending that we make some kind of more permanent change to the appearance inside or outside. I will also add that a short time later, I received an email from another customer who asked that we might put a bike rack for those who are biking to the facility. And we have contacted the planning department and are looking into putting a bike rack somewhere at that facility as well. So that's an additional thing. I did also, in another meeting, talked with Tadana and the president of the local NAACP when we met, and we looked at the building as well. They were interested in maybe having meetings at that facility. So I don't know, Tadana, if you wanted to add anything for that kind of conversation, but it went down the lines of kind of what we're thinking for the Angelo Library, putting some hanging artwork, if we can find somebody to do that as well. That might be an option.
Right. So I think you covered a lot of it. But just speaking with the NAACP president, the local one, he was excited about the opportunity to meet in the facility and partner with the library, and in order to do so, we did talk about all of the blank spaces and what the opportunity presents to put some artwork up. And so I've been conversing with some local artists, agents, if you will, I can't think of the technical term, to see if we could get some artwork on those walls the same way as Maya Angelou. But just in the general sentiment of the individual that sent the letter, man, it would just be, I like the fact that they sent the letter for the fact that it's just come up in topic of conversation more than once. And so if there was anything that we could do to spruce up the inside for that grand opening, I think this is an opportune time to do so. But yeah.
Lauren has her hand up as well.
Yes, Lauren.
I just wanted to mention that, you know, there is some ongoing conversation. I know the community services representative for District 3 is kind of looking out for some opportunities, you know, things that haven't really been discussed in much detail, but as an example, there's an artist creating like culturally inspired benches around the different parks in the area. And obviously, since we're so close to CLAP, maybe that's something we could look at. And there's some different organizations that have come up as possible partners. And so I just want you to know that it's sort of in conversation, that we're looking for opportunities. But as, you know, as was mentioned, anything that we'd like to do artistically, if it's sculptural or certainly a mural or something like that, that's something that always has to be within the consideration of the landlord as well. But I personally am committed to us looking for some opportunities to incorporate art on the inside and out. And I'll keep looking for those opportunities as we go.
Okay, very good. Any other board member with any comments or
Yes.
questions? Jonathan?
At this point, do we know whether or not, if we want to put a mural, for example, we would have to negotiate an agreement with the landowner, right?
Yes.
Another question. I looked at the pictures. This is not something that the letter writer mentioned, but I noticed that at the Walters branch, we have the name of the facility on 2 walls. And on both walls, the word library. Is that intention? Is it illuminated?
The library part is LED.
So the name Dr. Ronald W. Walters is painted on.
No, it's they're letters, but they're not LED letters. They're hung on, but they're not LED. And then we have the street sign that has the Wichita Public Library logo that says Wichita Public Library, that's lit at this, I don't know what those are called, but where all of the different entities in that area are, and it's listed on that street. Separate sign away from the building.
Yes, okay. It was just that looking at the pictures, they looked like they were painted on.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else, comments or questions?
This is Donna. I'm with Lauren. Lauren, you spoke with regards to benches. I am a member of the Wichita Links, and we are looking for partners because our national and local chapters are participating with the benches. Just
Great.
as an FYI.
We ought to make something work there.
We've been
You
in
bet.
contact with someone about the bench in Platt Park as possibly being along those lines. I'm not sure what they've decided the topic of the bench would be, but there is discussion about the Platt Park bench going in there.
Okay.
Great.
Other comments? What I'll do is, I'm sorry?
Question. I'm sorry, I can't see. Is someone else speaking?
No.
Oh, okay. I just had a question on the budget when it comes to things like this. know it was mentioned, Christy, that we were working with limited to no budget, but I just kind of wanted to know what exactly does that look like? They had mentioned like the flower pots and things like things you could take to the next building, if you will, if we were to move. What does that look like?
We don't have just a specific budget for that. So it would be, I mean, there's different ways it could go. If there was some kind of money raised for it specifically for that, but there was in the CIP project of the branch, there was no line item for like artwork and that kind of thing to be incorporated. And of course, it's not a city-owned building, so then there isn't that requirement to add that piece. And like you said, we would want to take into consideration if for some reason we moved and didn't extend the lease, then we would, you know, it'd be best if we could have something that could go with us if we were to move. And something that's hung on a wall certainly could be that. So.
Okay, so we'd be looking to look for partnerships to probably spruce up the project. I like what Ms. Donna had mentioned about the partnering with Mention. So hopefully we can get that partnership to go. That sounds really exciting. But just kind of keeping our ears and eyes out for other opportunities to partner, that'd be awesome. And I'll see what I can dig up myself.
Great.
Very good. Anybody else? Good comments and questions. Thank you for the discussion. So what I will do is put something together that respectfully replies to the letter writer, and I'll copy that to Christy, to Donna, and Mayor Whipple, the City Council 3 representative Jared Sorello, and Vice Mayor Johnson. And I'm sure that it'll be disseminated to the rest of the board, and we'll hopefully explain the situations at hand and why some of the things that the letter writer was wishing for we're probably not going to be able to accommodate because it is a leased facility. Okay, next on the agenda would be special committee reports, and of course we have none as the committees are not meeting still. Support organizational reports. Friends of the Library, Amanda. Is Amanda with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Hey, Amanda, how are you?
Good, how are you? Hope you're having a good day. I just have a few updates. The first one regarding the virtual book sale we had last month. It was really successful. We had close to 180 bags purchased and then 35 donated bags. So the committee for that is currently looking for places to donate. All those bags we've already donated some to the Red Cross, but there's a few others we're going to be picking other places to send those books. And then also my second update is in regards to the bookstore reopening. So the plan is to open it up starting May 5th, with days, just the Wednesday, Friday, Saturday times. It'll be 10:30 to 5 p.m. on those 3 days. And it's going to be a scheduled shopping time. So on our website, we have up and running like a scheduling page where people can sign up for 30-minute blocks of time. And then we're limiting it to 3 people in the bookstore at once. That's including 1 volunteer and then 2 shoppers. So then the last time obviously would be like the 4:30 time on those days. So 4:30 to 5 would be the last time to sign up for. And then Melissa's she's ordered a plexiglass shield for the desk, and we're hoping to install that this week for a little bit of distance there. And then as far as donations go for the bookstore, we're not opening it up for donations yet, but we're hopefully June will be the time we're looking for, but hopefully that stays on track and we can start. But we're hoping to have another book sale soon to kind of clear out the warehouse more as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Amanda. Any questions for Amanda from the board? Hearing none. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too.
Next on the agenda, Christy Obergers. Christy there she is with the foundation. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Kevin. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that most of you got the last minute email that I sent out today that had some information in it. I wanted to send it out to you because there are a lot of numbers that were involved that I thought you would appreciate seeing in person, or I mean on a form. So first of all, I'd like to just thank Amanda with the Friends and Sean Jones with the library. They were very instrumental in collaborating with the foundation in order to have an extremely successful library giving day. So we were able to surpass our goal, which was $12,500. And as a result of that, we'll be funding 4 of the library's programs for children. One is Kansas Reads to preschoolers, and that entire budget will be covered through this fundraising project. The summer reading program, we will be providing 300 books. They're used as an incentive for kids to meet their reading goals. There will be a young artist exhibit in the spring of 2021, and the funding from Library Giving Day will underwrite that. And then there's also a product called Vimeo. I think I'm saying that right, I might not be, but it just gives the library the opportunity to be able to broadcast programs over multiple devices. So for those that gave to the Library Giving Day, thank you so very much. And your donation is going to help close the gap that we know that's out there for children's literacy this year in particular, because of the pandemic. So thank you very much. I also wanted to just point out that many of the staff members in the library helped promote this Library Giving Day. We had 500 bookmarks and several posters, and we put them out in all of the branches. And so there was a lot of promotional opportunities there. And then also, like the library, we are trying to reach that middle demographic of 20s to 50-year-olds. And so to get them more engaged, our average donor to the foundation is like 65 years old. So we want to change that and grow the demographic so more people are giving. So we had a social media project with Library Giving Day where we asked 7 different individuals across a variety of different types of job settings to help us promote Library Giving Day. So I'd like to particularly thank Cindy Claycomb and also Kevin McWhorter, as he was our poster child on Library Giving Day. So that was nice that he allowed us to do that. And so thank you so very much. But it was really exciting just to see that additional response that we were getting in the different social platforms that are out there, and just to meet these really hip, slick, and cool young people that are out there making things happen in our community. It's really amazing. Then I also just wanted to point out, and if you haven't had a chance to look at the email that I sent earlier today, we have received already this year 6 grants for the library. And I just wanted to talk real briefly about 2 of them. One will provide hotspots for lending, which is something that the city of Wichita did a pilot program on, and they found that through the community resource centers, and they found that it was very successful and there was a high demand for this. So with the help of the IT department at the library, I wrote a grant to the Latner Family Foundation, and I asked for them to fund 50 hotspots the big thing with the hotspots is not the cost of the equipment, but the service plan. And I asked that they fund that over a 2-year period. So what they came back with is that they were excited that we were going to be doing this project, but they would only fund for 1 year. And at the end of the 1 year, then they wanted us to submit a report on how successful that was. And then we could submit another request for year 2 of the funding. And then another really exciting project is the STEAM kits. And we had a individual make a very generous grant of $20,000 to the children's department. And what we're going to do with that money is put together some really great STEAM and their items, which they're called Library of Things, that children can check out with their adult. The adult actually has to check it out, but they're designed for children. And so one of the big items is going to be telescopes. And so we'll have telescopes, and we also have a group of astronomers that are going to work with programming with the library to be able to help with that particular project. But the STEAM kits, which we've already got some of those in, they have many, there's 2 different kits, and one of the kits has a mini robot in it, and the other one has a mini microscope. And so it's just going to be really neat that kids are going to be able to have these hands-on learning experiences with our new Library of Things. So that's all I have, but I do appreciate your support, and have a great day.
Thank you, Christy. Before I let you go, I just want to mention that being the board representative on the foundation has had a number of new members that have come on recently. And I got to tell you, I've served on a lot of very good boards, but the foundation board is going to be very, very efficient and effective on behalf of the library. And I'm very excited about what's coming down the pike once we get back to whatever a new normal looks like. So thank you for all of your efforts, and we appreciate it very much, Christy. That was great reporting.
Thank you, Kevin.
Development manager has her hand up there.
Sarah?
Hi, so I just
Sarah.
wanted to give a little more information about the Library of Things that Christy was talking about. There are, this was a very generous grant, so we are very, very excited to be rolling this out. It's going to be a 2-step process, but I hope to get all of you excited for it so you can share it with everyone you know as well. The STEAM kits are the first part. There are actually 12 different kits. They will be at every library location. They offer all sorts of different STEAM activities, from underwater exploration to fossils to playing with the robot that all of us want to adopt because it's adorable. And so that is we hope to roll that out in mid-May to coincide with the start of summer reading. Secondly, that's actually not part of the official Library of Things, though. We are rebooting a former collection we had with these STEAM kits. The Library of Things is at a lot of different libraries around the country. It's becoming more and more common. And over the course of several weeks this summer, we plan to roll out 3 different items. The first is through a sponsorship by a local radon company. So we are going to have 5 radon detectors that customers can check out to take home for 2 weeks and do their do home testing for radon, because the Wichita area has relatively high radon issues in the community. The second will be the telescopes. Well, second or third will be the telescopes that Christy mentioned, and we are very, very, very excited to get those out. And the third will be the hotspots that were mentioned. So this is going to be a pilot collection for us as we work out all of the things that could go wrong with these 3 items, but we are very much looking forward to sharing these with our community and getting them into customers' hands.
Great. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. That was a great update.
Perfect. Okay, we'll go on. Julie, Welcome, Julie. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine.
Good.
It's good to see everybody. The Wichita Genealogical Society, we had planned to launch our new website in April. Looks like now it's going to be in May because there was a lot of data to transfer from the old system to the new system. So we are looking for that to take place in the first half of May. We were going to have some genealogical, like intro to genealogy classes, or genealogy 101 is what they were calling it, this spring, but that's going to be postponed because there really wasn't enough interest. The teacher wants to have at least 5 people in the class. And so we're just going to postpone that, and we do expect that there'll be more interest later. Our March meeting had 37 people, and I say our meetings, remember, they're still on Zoom. So there were 37 people. And then in April, we had 81 people attend that, and they were from all over the country because it was, somebody had it on Facebook and somebody else had it on Facebook. And so we got quite a few in April, and that topic was the Grand Army of the Republic. You know, it's Civil War records. So we're still meeting as a board, and we're still meeting on the 3rd Saturday for our monthly meetings, and enjoying it.
Very good. Thank you, Julie. Anybody have any questions for Julie? Very good. Julie, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda will be the Director of Libraries report. Christy, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. I have a couple of facility updates. Our west entrance doors at the Advanced Learning Library, as you know, have been having intermittent issues with closing and locking. One piece was grinding somewhere. The door company was able to come out and identify a part that needed to be replaced in the track. So now we're hopeful that that has fixed that issue permanently, and we will not continue to have these issues with the automatic door. That also our sewer smell that comes and goes came back. It had stopped for about 3 to 4 months. It came back one day, but then it again has gone away. So Public Works is still working to identify what could be causing that. So we're still hoping for a resolution on that at some point. We've had a couple of geese that have decided to hang around our front of the building and sometimes aggressively fly at people coming in and out the west entrance doors. So we did hire goose troopers to come in and try to get the geese to leave and decide to nest somewhere else. So we're hoping that they won't return next year. They'll deem this as a place that they don't want to stay. So that's new for us this year. We did hear from engineering staff that they were planning to open Sycamore the week of April 6th, but then that didn't happen, so I'm not quite sure. We're going to try to ask for another update to see maybe when that we can expect that to open up. But it looks like they're getting near that, being ready to open the street. All city department directors gave orientations about their department to District 3 Council Member Jared Sorello, and so I did talk with him and get a chance to meet him and give him a tour of this facility at the Advanced Learning Library, and had a nice conversation. All city departments too are working to determine what opportunities might be available to us through the American Rescue Plan Act that passed in March. There will be some competitive grant opportunities for libraries through the National Endowment of the Arts and the National Endowment of the Humanities. One just opened up a grant opportunity this week, so we are looking into that. We have a meeting set next week to talk with Christy Oberg to see how Christy and Cambry can assist us in applying for any grants that we may be eligible to apply for. And there may also be other opportunities to apply to get devices such as hotspots or laptops to check out through the E-rate emergency connectivity funds or the FCC. So we're monitoring that one as well. The IMLS is also distributing money to state libraries. And so the Kansas State Library should get approximately 2.6 million. I did speak with the state librarian, and he didn't anticipate that being a pass through to libraries in any way, but that the funding will be spent on certain programs or other things. They have to ensure that they are tracking that money and how that money is spent and reporting back on that. So they're not quite sure how that will go. Most entities have until May to determine how these opportunities, what the processes will be for these opportunities. So we're monitoring that, and I'm giving weekly updates to the city manager as we find opportunities that apply to us through these. We have about 15% of our positions vacant at the present time. And we, due to some uncertainty with the budget, we can probably expect the city to fill maybe only 50% of the civilian vacancies through 2022. So I'm working with our supervisors and using the critical positions list that the library board approved in September of 2020 for this work to be prioritizing our vacancies and filling the vacancies in our department. The budget process is not completed yet. Obviously, this is the beginning stages of that. So we're supplying the information as we get requests for that. Our in-person service has been going well at all of our library locations. In March, we had almost 100 book a librarian appointments at the Advanced Learning Library in person or through the phone. Mobile printing has picked back up. Technology virtual programs have been successful with good attendance numbers. Looking forward, the CDC has made a statement that COVID transmission on surfaces is unlikely. And due to the low positivity rate in our area and the vaccine being now readily available to those who choose to get one, we plan to stop quarantining our materials on May 3rd. We continue to do primarily virtual programs through summer. We'll be doing some programs outside, as hoping the weather will permit that. And we're hoping that we'll be able to start including some seating back, some meeting room rentals, and some in-person programming possibly towards fall. It's hard to really anticipate what will come down the line, what we'll be able to add back in and when. So we're trying to stay flexible with that. The factors that we're monitoring include the ability to fill vacancies so that we have capacity to increase service, the vaccine rate, the COVID positivity rate in the community, as well as other city changes that other city departments are making, and the ability to reduce social distancing, because then that also affects how many people can be in a certain space at one time. The city of Wichita is currently officially going by CDC guidelines as our official policy on use of spaces, masks, social distancing, and those things. And then I just wanted to make a reminder, if you haven't already returned your form for the officer and committee positions, if you can send that to me as soon as possible. Once I receive all of them, I will pass those on to the nominating committee. They will meet and have a recommendation for the slate of officers at our May annual meeting next month. And that's all I have.
Okay, I have a question. If we're going by CDC, and the CDC indicates that people who have had both of their shots can actually meet in person, is it possible that we can have our board meetings back in our boardroom for any of the members who want to be here that have had both of their shots and would be in compliance with the CDC recommendation?
Well, officially, the social distancing space for this room is 5 people in this space. So the other thing is it's an open meeting, so we would have to allow the public to attend the open meeting. And so if you recall, kind of back when we first started, we've been through different phases of how we did the meeting, but there was a point in time when we were using the children's spaces, and we opened that up we do have the ability to open those garage doors up, both to the children's area and the exterior. However, we're not done with that children's garden project yet. The construction is still going on that. I don't know if maybe when that is complete, because then that would allow airflow and a bigger space in that area. But we are storing our PCs and furniture and everything in those spaces. That's our other problem with our spaces. Until we can put that out for customers to sit and use and linger, then it's like all moving parts. So I don't know.
Okay. So right now the hang up is really the 6 foot separation.
That's one of the pieces. Yeah. And then of course the public coming in, we wouldn't know who has had vaccines, who hasn't had vaccines to that point.
Okay.
But,
Well, I know personally I've had my shots, and I would love to get back into a more normal board member setting. And if any of the board members were in agreement with that, then I would be interested in finding out if there's a solution.
Mhm.
Jonathan?
How many of us have had the shots? All of them.
Well, we would have to ask everyone to notify us as to who has had both of the shots and would be comfortable meeting in person. And obviously anybody that would not be comfortable meeting in person would be encouraged to not and continue to Zoom. Any questions or comments for Christy before we adjourn? Hearing none, the next item would be announcements. Are there any announcements from any board member? Hearing none, I want to thank all of you for your participation today in attendance. Appreciate it very much. There will be some information that will be coming out to you shortly, and everybody have a great day. We are adjourned.
thank you, everybody.